Let's go to South Asia now, and the state funeral of the former Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has been taking place in the capital, Delhi. India's first Sikh leader died on Thursday at the age of 92. We can go live now to our correspondent in Delhi, Arunade Mukherjee. Arunade, a state funeral in the capital. Talk us through what you've seen today.
Well, just a short while back, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was laid to rest at the cremation ground where I currently am. In fact, the pyre is still burning behind me. That's where he was laid to rest. And this entire area where I'm standing was chock-a-block with dignitaries cutting across party lines, right from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to members of several political parties across the spectrum, really. And that is testament to the kind of politician that Dr. Manmohan Singh really was, someone who really was a man who was known to have built consensus during his political career. But of course, he was India's Prime Minister from 2004 to 2014. But prior to that, as Finance Minister, is when the man really made a name for himself, because he was credited to being the architect of India's economic reforms in 1991 as Finance Minister, when he opened up India's economy, bringing in liberalising economic reforms, opening it up to foreign investment. And that's where many people say that India's start of becoming an economic superpower really began. So the former Prime Minister being laid to rest, and the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying India, in fact, is mourning one of its most distinguished leaders today.
Indeed. Arunade Mukherjee for us in Delhi. Arunade, thank you very much. Well, let's speak now to Paranjoy Guha-Thakurta, who is an author and political commentator and joins us on the line now. Mr. Thakurta, thank you for being with us. We'll come on to the legacy in a short moment, but first of all, can you talk to us about Dr. Singh's route into public life?
Dr. Manmohan Singh came from a very, very humble background, a very poor background. He grew up in a place called Gah in West Punjab, in what is today Pakistan. He walked miles to go to school. He was a very good student. Many years later, he would remark that the reason why he wore thick spectacles was because he had to study under the light of a lantern. His family, when the Indian subcontinent was partitioned, they moved to the Indian side, and then through sheer grit, he studied, and he studied at two universities in the United Kingdom, Oxford and Cambridge, on scholarship. He worked very hard. He was praised by some of Britain's best known economists, including Joan Robinson, Nicholas Calder. And then after he returned to India, he was in academics for a while, and then he went on to hold positions in India's economic ministries, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Commerce, the Central Bank, the Reserve Bank of India. So he sort of held just about every important position that he held. He entered politics in 1991 when he was made the finance minister by P.V. Narasimha Rao's government. And as your correspondent a little while ago told you, he is often deemed to be the architect of India's economic liberalisation program.
Well, let's focus on that, because there were numerous achievements in his career, but it was really the economy he was remembered for. What did he do to India?
All right. You must remember that Dr. Manmohan Singh was part of the Indian establishment. He was also part of the United Nations. He headed the South Commission. Ideologically, he espoused left-of-center views while he was with the United Nations as well. 1991, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, after the disintegration of the erstwhile Soviet Union, what we saw was India's economic policy regime shifted distinctly rightwards. And that's really Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister. He dismantled the license regime. He devalued Indian currency. He opened India's economy to imports from the rest of the world. He removed the kind of controls that were there on Indian industry. In the process, his critics said he was presiding over a financial scandal, that he didn't pay adequate attention to healthcare and to agriculture and to education. But one thing I must say about Dr. Singh, he never shied away from answering his critics. I met him several times. I interviewed him several times. Unlike Dr. Unlike our India's present Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he addressed several media conferences. He granted several interviews, dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and he
Yeah.
never shied away from answering, however difficult
Yeah.
that question is. You know, his political
we will,
opponents-
unfortunately, we're running tight for time, but unfortunately we'll have to leave it there. Paranjoy Guha Thakurta, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.